Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Fantasy Alarm live feed. I am Brandon Marianne Lee. I am here with the one, the only Mr. Howard Bender. Hi, how are you?
Hello, Brandon. How are you?
Decent. I'm decent. We got some interesting news today. Kenny Stills officially out. We got Jakeem Grant starting in his place. We've got Danny Amendola in the slot. Danny in the slot. And then we are looking forward to them playing against the Houston Texans. I actually think this is going to be an interesting game. Howard, what's your take on Thursday night's football game?
I don't really have I don't have a firm grasp on this game, really, just in the sense that Houston's a 7.5 point favorite in this one here. And I don't know, based on the way Houston's played, how are they even remotely a 7.5 point favorite over anybody? Like, it makes no sense to me. Their offensive line is trashy. Deshaun Watson's still banged up with the chest injury here. They don't have Kiki Kute. Maybe if they just run it up the gut with Lamar Miller, that's fine. But is the Houston offensive line going to be able to get that same push on the defensive line for Miami that, say, Detroit did last week with Kerryon Johnson? So I worry about that whole situation for Houston. And on the Miami side, listen, it's still Brock Osweiler we're talking about. It's still Brock Osweiler.
Is he going to show his ugly face sooner or later? Because the face he's been showing has been pretty decent, Howard.
Last week was that really is that what you're hoping for? Is that what you're looking for here? Like, the 380 yards against the Bears was a great game, and that was definitely
fun.
It was fun. It was fun. But now we're sitting here. Now here's the thing, though, is that you've got horrible secondary for the Texans. That's their Achilles heel, is their defense, is their pass defense. Their run defense is great. Run defense is solid, so forget the Drake, forget Frank Gore. They're going to have a tough time pushing through. So the Dolphins, to win this one, really need Brock Osweiler to be slinging the rock.
Yeah, no, they really do. And I guess for me, I feel like, so now we have a backup quarterback, and now we have a bunch of backup wideouts. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're getting down the depth chart at every position now. And at some point, I feel like something's going to break, right? I will say this. If you are starting a running back from this matchup, I think it is still Kenyon Drake just because of the pass catching, right? A little bit of upside there, maybe?
Yeah, I feel like he's the guy that you're going to want to own between the two of them. But, I mean, again, you look at, like, DVOA numbers and Houston against running back pass plays, they still rank 9th, giving up like 52, 53 yards per game. So, when you have guys like Merciless on the outside and Clowney, who's inside, who's outside sometimes, and then J.J. Watt, it's really even those running back checkdowns are tough to really advance with.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about Brock Osweiler, so. But to be honest with you, I'm not, like you said, I'm not quite sure this is going to be a blowout. Like, I don't think that the Houston's just going to, like, run away with this either, because Miami's defense, as you said, they oftentimes hold steady when they need to. Now, of course, the Patriots always embarrass them, so we're going to just let that game go out of our heads. But in terms of Houston, I'm not quite sure. So, but if you're like me, and you were desperate in some sort of 2-quarterback league and you had to plug in Brock Osweiler last week, I would pull him this week, people. Hey, it worked out. I got the points that I did. Listen, I'm all about the amount of points that I need, not how it looks. Let's put it that way. We're so excited to get to your questions. Obviously, we've had a huge week in terms of fantasy. Marshawn Lynch went to IR. We got Bilal Powell out. We've got Sony Michel is officially out. We have Marlon Mack not practicing. We have an Amari Cooper trade. We have all sorts of stuff. So we're sure that we're going to cover all that with your questions, because it's definitely thrown everything up into the air. It's funny, too, because every league that I'm in, everyone is pretty mediocre. Like, I'm not quite sure anyone has officially made the playoffs because everyone's team has had to shift so much. I don't know who's good or not. So that's the good news. Don't lose faith. Even if you only have 1 or 2 wins, I still think you have a possibility of making the playoffs because so much is happening all the time. And if you're the one that's on the pivoting, I think you can really make things happen. So let's get to the questions, because Mr. Howard Bender also talked a lot about on the show today, and I hope that everyone's listening on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, because Howard does a great job with Jim Bowden. It's amazing. But he talked today about not just playing names Look at what's actually been happening this year. Specifically, you talked, and I do want to touch on this real quick, about the Minnesota Vikings being a tough defense for Drew Brees. And you were like, what are you talking about? Geeks fan.
Yeah, listen, I think that a lot of people just turn around and say, well, the Minnesota defense, that's what we've got to go with here. That's, they're a strong defense. So people are starting to ask, should I sit Drew Brees without really looking into the Minnesota defense? And people aren't understanding that Xavier Rhodes, he's out this week. Mike Hughes tore his ACL 2 weeks ago, so he's on injured reserve. Trey Wayans, his nickname is Toast. The guy gets burnt all the time. Andrew Sendejo is banged up and questionable. We don't know what his condition is. Right now, you've got one guy who's rock solid there, and that's Harrison Smith. But Harrison Smith's a safety. He's not going to be able to sit there in massive coverage of a lot of these wideouts. He's going to be able to help out at times. But for the most part here, I worry about the Minnesota secondary here. And so because of that, yeah, I'm looking at Drew Brees. I'm looking at Michael Thomas. I'm looking at Traquan Smith. Hell, I'll give John and Pemba's guy Cam Meredith a shot here this week, only because I think that it's a bad pass. It's a bad secondary right now in Minnesota. They got a lot of issues.
Yeah, they really do. They have a lot of issues. And again, it's Drew Brees. Now, I get it. He wasn't fabulous against the Ravens, so that would be the big argument there. But the Ravens are significantly better than the Minnesota Vikings on pretty much all phases of the defense there throughout the whole season. The Baltimore Ravens are really doing something special, especially in an era where there's so many penalties. If you touch anyone on the offensive side of the ball, it's all built for all that. And so the thing is that the fact that the Ravens are doing what they're doing is pretty darn impressive, and something probably not enough people are talking about. But in terms of the Vikings, hasn't really been the case. Even with great quarterback play by Kirk Cousins, they have not been able to win all of their games, obviously. So, yeah, I agree with you. This isn't just about names, everybody. We have a lot of data to look at. So someone already saying, which is true, digging the clean shave, Howard. What actually brought this upon? Did you burn your beard or something? Why the shaving? What happened?
So this is all part of a promotion I'm doing through SiriusXM. It's Cremo Aftershave Products is the name of the sponsor, and they're running a beard competition between me and 3 of the other hosts on SiriusXM. I don't even remember who they are. It's not on the Fantasy Sports Channel. I'm the only one from the Fantasy Sports Channel. So they've got 4 of us doing a best beard competition. We all made sure that we were clean shaven, and then at the end of November, we're going to pick it back up. So I hate this. I've apologized to my wife incessantly. I'm like, I don't know how I got this fat. I don't know what's up with the turkey waddle here. I'll grow this beard back as fast as I possibly can, and you all never have to see this. This is atrocious. This is atrocious. The diet starts as soon as I get back from Fish in Vegas in November, and I'm done. This will grow in, and I will probably try and do like a werewolf thing and just get hair all up in my face here.
Well, I think it looks adorable. You look like a little cherub, little child. You look so young.
Little chubby cherub. Is that what you're going to say? Yeah.
That's what you were saying. That's what you were
saying. No. Anyway, let's talk football. What a novel idea.
Oh, my gosh. Well, let me put it this way. I never got the chance to have a beard. I just have to be here and wear a lot of makeup. So,
Well, your mustache comes in pretty well.
It does.
Oh, burn!
I actually, I do have a mustache. I have dark hair, so it's true, everybody. When I was little, I had a mustache. This is the little story, and then we'll get right into fantasy questions, I promise. But when I was little, I was a complete nerd. I had no friends. My mom was always like, "That's because they like you." I was like, "No, I think they're genuinely making fun of me." But okay, Mom. And so this boy was making fun of my mustache, and so my mom was like, "Well, just tell him he's jealous, being funny or whatever." But I was like, 6 or 7. So the boy made fun of me again. He was like, "Oh, you got a mustache." I was like, "Oh yeah, jealous?" And then he was like, "No."
Because he's 6 years old and he doesn't know what puberty is.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, well, I guess not. No." And then I just walked away. So you didn't know that you tapped into a childhood memory, Howard. Anyway, no. Okay. Will Fuller over Jimmy Graham and Eric Ebron in the flex, Howard.
What? I'm sorry. What? Say that one more time. Who?
Uh,
What?
Will Fuller over Jimmy Graham and Eric Ebron in the flex.
Ooh. I don't like it. I mean, I think you've got good options here with Graham going up against the Rams here. They don't cover the tight end very well. And then Eric Ebron, all this dude sees is targets, 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 and he gets the red zone work here. Do you trust Deshaun Watson? Do you trust Will Fuller in this one here? I don't know if I do, Brandon. Do you?
No. No one can stay healthy on this team.
No.
All the wide receivers, I'm just having a tough. Well, obviously not Hopkins. You can do no wrong. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to talk about you. But Will Fuller, I'm a little bit concerned. So, no, I think. Oh, I guess ask me again on Sunday about between Ebron and Jimmy Graham, but I think I like both of them better.
Yeah, me too.
Not even quite sure it matters. You didn't say whether it's PPR or not, but I don't even know if it matters. Would you go Fuller or John Brown?
I got to go John Brown. John Brown's seeing targets, seeing touchdown passes. I love John Brown. Matchup against Carolina here. He's got like James Bradbury is going to be covering him. I think he's just fine here. Definitely. Carolina kind of weak against the wide receiver too in DVOA numbers and coverage. Why are you going Will Fuller here over John Brown?
Oh, no. I don't know if I trust either of them, though. I'm not, like, adamant about John Brown, I guess is what I'm saying. I would probably start him over Will Fuller, but in terms of – I just feel like Baltimore, it's always a different wide receiver. And I'm not even quite sure I know who it's going to be each week. There's not, like, a really, like, an indicator that seems to be consistent yet for me, but I would still play him over Fuller, though. If Doyle plays, Ebron or Jimmy Graham?
If Doyle plays, Ebron or Jimmy Graham? I mean, I guess I'd go Jimmy Graham then. But, I mean, listen, you're still dealing with targets coming away because Geronimo Allison is coming back, Randall Cobb coming back. Both are expected to play. That's going to pull targets away from Jimmy Graham. So maybe you got to go Ebron here because he gets those red zone looks and he gets the red zone targets from Andrew Luck, with or without Jack Doyle or Eric Swoop. I mean, I think the Doyle coming back, that's just going to hurt Eric Swoop. That's not going to hurt Eric Ebron. Ebron's, work should stay the same, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I would think so. Also, I think Swoop is basically guaranteed to us that they're always going to run these two tight end sets.
Yep.
I actually don't think it's a big deal. I just think that now, yeah, you can't play, Eric, but you weren't playing him anyway, Mr. Swoop. But I agree with you. I guess I'd say this, though, that Jimmy Graham has a tougher matchup. He is listed as questionable, so we just want to make sure that he's going to be A-okay, but it sounds like it. Ask us again on Sunday just in case. But as of right now, I agree with you. I think I'm going to stick with Ebron here, but considering that's the only thing that Oakland can defend is the tight end position, it makes me just a hint nervous, but not really. It was PPR for the Graham or Ebron over Fuller. We're still picking it. Beardless Bender. Whoop, whoop. Pick 2 PPR. If Breida doesn't play, Alex Collins, Mostert, or Kenyon Barner.
If Breida does not play, then you got to go with Mostert. I mean, Arizona's run defense is horrifying. Yeah. They're giving up like 140 rushing yards per game. They've given up like 10 or 11 rushing touchdowns on the year. Right. They can't stop the run at all. Mostert will get all the work there. Absolutely.
And then your second one would be Barner or Collins?
I guess I would probably go Barner and then just hope that New England does all that damage in the first half. Rob Gronkowski gets his homecoming Buffalo touchdown and Chris Hogan gets his touchdown revenge game narrative there. And then the second half, they're just up so much that they're like, why are we going to waste our regular personnel? Let's just let Barner run it out.
That's how I feel too. I actually really like Barner this week. A much better matchup than Alex Collins against the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah. I mean, listen, yeah, they're both on the road, but one of them's going to Buffalo and the other one's going to Carolina. Those are two very different things too. So, yeah. So I'd go Barner, Mostert. And this is where we are in life. And this is what I'm saying about, like, I don't care what your fantasy score is, right? Or your record is right now. Everything's changed. So stay in the game, everybody. Stay in the game. It's gonna be rough sailing. So, Babyface. See, baby. That was the word I was looking for.
No, that's James Grande. That's Grande's nickname. Stop it.
Oh, okay. Ugly question. For Fournette Gordon owner, would you start Aaron Jones, Doug Martin, Ronald Jones, or Yeldon? And then there's a puking smiley face.
I mean, I guess if I had to start one, it would be Doug Martin because he seems to be the guy out of that group who would probably see the most work. I mean, it's really, really ugly. Really ugly. Who was the
or Yeldon?
Well, that was so Yeldon was the other one I'm intrigued by because the question is how much work is Carlos Hyde going to get? And is Carlos Hyde going to be in an even split here with TJ Yeldon? Or are they going to bring Carlos Hyde along slowly? Like that's what that's the only thing that makes me worry about this. But then again, with Doug Martin, you're worrying about Jalen Richard and the Raiders falling from playing from behind and playing catch up here. So Yeldon, Martin, I think, against Philly defense there also. That's another against Yeldon. I'd probably go Martin, but I don't love it. I don't love it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not going Ronald Jones. And Aaron Jones, listen, no. I know we as fantasy people, we love stats, and I love stats too. Okay. We all love stats. However, their team does not. And there's something about Aaron Jones that rubs Mike McCarthy the wrong way. For whatever reason, he has not started Aaron Jones yet. And I have no reason to believe that's going to magically happen where all of a sudden Aaron Jones is going to get the type of volume that we look for. And I understand what the argument is that we are all seeing and doing mathematically in our heads. But they don't care. We're not the coaches. So unless they start giving him more touches, it doesn't matter. We could talk about his talent till we're blue in the face. It does not matter. And that is the problem with Aaron Jones. And then Ronald Jones, I don't know what's up with him. I had tons of high hopes for him, and I just can't go there.
No, this is kind of like it's it's like gamblers telling you that everybody bets the over because they love point scoring and they love, high scoring games and really, back and forth. But that's why they take the under all the time because it's not about what you want. It's about what you see and it's about what you expect. And it's the same thing with fantasy. I can create 1,000,001 narratives as to why I think Aaron Jones should be the number one guy. But if Mike McCarthy doesn't believe it, that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. And clearly he does not.
No. I mean, he hates your fantasy team too.
He hates your fantasy team, and he hates Aaron Jones. And we don't have any explanation for it, but until I see something else, I'm going with that information. Traquan Smith, George Kittle, Kenny Golladay, pick 2 PPR. I don't know how you sit Kenny Golladay. What am I missing?
No, I mean, is it PPR?
Yeah.
If it's PPR, then I'm going to say Golladay, and I'm going to say Kittle. Like in a PPR format, Kittle's the main guy who I'm looking at. Arizona's a little weak against the tight end, and there's really, if you've got Patrick Peterson on Marquise Goodwin, where else are you going to go? And it's going to be to Kittle because apparently C.J. Beathard doesn't like Pierre Garçon either. Doesn't throw him the targets. So then it comes down to Traquan Smith or Kenny Golladay. And yeah, I mean, Traquan Smith, he's there, but you got Michael Thomas. And are they going to do the little shots to Cam Meredith out of the slot? Are they going to do Alvin Kamara there?
Ben Watson.
Ben Watson's another option there. So at least with Detroit, you do know that Kenny Golladay is on the field in all 3 wide receiver sets. He's on the field in most 2 wide receiver sets as well. And he's more likely to be the guy to hopefully get into the end zone.
Listen, this is how I feel about it. I love Traquan Smith's talent. Mm-hmm. Way too many players out there. Way too many players for me to feel like he's going to go anywhere. It's upsetting to me.
He's more of like a DFS dart at this point right now. Until we see Drew Brees hit him with 6-7 targets a game for like 2 or 3 games in a row, then you have to, he's a stash, he's a plug and play during bye week help, but he's not necessarily the guy you consistently want in there yet.
Well, and here's the deal. Until he starts getting consistently targeted in the red zone, that's where kind of Kenny Galladay wins it over for me. It doesn't matter whether it's PPR or standard. Touchdowns are touchdowns. And we've seen that there was, a 3-game stint there where he was getting those touchdowns. I think that comes back. Obviously, they had the bye week already, so it's a little bit intense there. He only had 2 catches for 37 yards last week. I know. But the point is that you could see how he was involved with the game plan and on the field all the time. We haven't seen that with Smith. Cut Clement and pick up Mostert, or my other running backs are Kareem Hunt, Saquon Barkley, Mark Ingram, Philip Lindsay, and Sony Michel. I guess my answer to that would be sure, but just make sure you're also taking care of your wide receivers.
Oh yeah, but why? Why is this a move that you're making? Do you think suddenly you're going to start Mostert over, Barkley and Hunt, and even on their bye weeks, you've got like 6 other dudes who I'd much rather play than Mostert, especially if Matt Breida gets healthy there.
Like how many running backs can you even play? At
least Clement. At least Clement's going to still be the guy. He's going to share with Smallwood, but at least he's going to be the primary running back for Philadelphia.
Yeah, no matter what happens, he'll still be there. We don't know about Mostert. PPR wide receiver need 2. Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald, Deshaun Jackson. You need 1 because Deshaun Jackson's one of your starters. Am I correct?
Yeah,
I mean,
correct. Correct.
So would you start Kirk or Fitz?
There was a report that came out today that Byron Leftwich said in order to be successful, they need to get the ball into Larry Fitzgerald's hands more.
That is accurate. Listen, I hope that this works out for him, by the way. I'm really excited about this guy as an offensive coordinator. I think because as a football player, I'm assuming that they're seeing kind of at least partially what we're seeing, which is why aren't we using Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson on 90% of our touches? Like 90% of the touches should go to those 2 players. Am I crazy?
No, you're not. But Josh Rosen does have a pretty decent connection with Christian Kirk, and Kirk sees like 6-7 targets a game when he's, when all things are working well.
Yeah, not doing a whole lot with it, but not terrible. I agree. I think
I'd go Fitz though. I think I'd still go Fitz. I think if Byron Leftwich wants to put his stamp on the offense, and he says that David Johnson needs different running plays and Larry Fitzgerald needs more work, I'm going to go with him and make that my play.
Yeah, I mean, you get 6 targets in a game and catch 3 for 57 yards. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. He's fine. I don't have a problem with Christian Kirk in the future. Today, we're going Larry Fitz. PPR flex need 1. Jalen Richard, TJ Yeldon, Carlos Hyde, Aaron Jones, Evan Engram.
Gross.
I go Jalen.
Yeah, I go Jalen Richard too. 100%.
I feel pretty decent about that, actually.
I feel dirty saying it, but all right. Okay.
A lot of Howard you shaves, of course. Hi, guys. Do I bench Demaryius Thomas for Danny Amendola in a PPR league? I would not because they're playing the Chiefs. I think they need Thomas.
Yeah, and if they are going to try and trade him, even though they say they're not going to, wouldn't you want to feature him a little bit in a soft matchup here and maybe get somebody to be like, oh, my God, I'll totally overpay for Demaryius Thomas?
Tuned in a little late. Half-point PPR, Fuller or Edelman? It's okay. We're going Edelman here.
I don't know. I think I'm going Fuller. I don't know. I just don't necessarily know. Is Edelman, is he get? Do the Patriots need? You know what? I'll tell you what. Here we go. Let's go to the ear in the sky, the voice from above. My man John Impemba. Johnny, can you hear me? Johnny, can you hear me? Oh, I guess Johnny can't hear me.
No, he can't hear you.
What's going on, Howard?
Oh, he can hear me. John, talk to me about the Monday night game here. I'm a little concerned about the lopsidedness that we're going to see. I worry about whether or not to start a guy like Julian Edelman, especially when I know that it's Gronk's little homecoming. It's Chris Hogan's revenge game narrative. It's Josh Gordon building this new relationship with TB12, and it's not a necessary thing to pass heavily on the Patriots. Am I way off base here, John?
I would still play Edelman. I think that we don't know how banged up Gronk has been. He didn't play last week. He's been limited at practice. There are some very, very crazy stats, though, if you want to go look up Rob Gronkowski against the Buffalo Bills. It's like he waits all season to put up his best performances against Buffalo.
he's like from there.
Yeah,
Isn't
no,
he?
he
like
is.
From,
He's from there,
he's from
but
the area. His whole family's there. And yeah, every time that he's in Buffalo, they give him the ball, and he has the game of all games. I
Yep.
mean, it's like
But
tear your jersey off like Hulk Hogan kind of Gronk style there. So I believe
Edelman
in
is
that.
still the go-to guy for Brady, though, when it comes down to it. So I would still play him.
Over Will Fuller in a half-point PPR format.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, there you go. I'll sign with John and Pemba any day of the week here. Thank you, John. Thank you, Voice from Above. Appreciate everything that you're doing here. Brandon, there you go. There's our answer.
All right, I agree with it. Don't lie, you're shaving for the Fish concert is someone else's comment.
Why would I shave for a Fish concert?
I don't know. Put on your Sunday best.
I want to blend with the Wooks. Are you kidding me here? I want to I'm going to put a tie-dye t-shirt on. I'm going to have a garlic grilled cheese in my hand, and I'm going to blend. I want to stand out like this. This is atrocious. This is awful. Don't look at me.
A garlic grilled cheese sounds so good right now.
And it always is. Oh, nothing better than lot food after a long, long night.
Give me the grease. IDP question. Joey Bosa play in week 9 or him or DeMarcus Lawrence?
We're asking for week 9? I don't think. If we're asking for week 9, I'll wait and see what Joey Bosa's condition is.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we don't. Joey Bosa to me is just too much of a question mark to even try to project a week out. But so we'll go with that. Need 2 of these 4 standard scoring. Hilton, Funchess, Goodwin, Jones.
Hilton, Funchess, Goodwin,
and Marvin Jones.
Yes,
non-PPR.
I gotta go Hilton and Funchess here.
I think I would too. I agree. Marvin Jones is always intriguing to me though with the non-PPR league, but I think I'd
100%.
still go Hilton and Funchess as well. I think that the Panthers are going to need to do things that the Ravens won't expect, and that's passing. So, God love Cam Newton. Aaron Jones's problem is McCarthy. I know, but that's a problem he's not going to lose. So we have a problem.
Captain Obvious watching the live stream today.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. We agree. Howard with the baby face again. Fitz or Demaryius Thomas to the Eagles? We don't know.
Fitz or Demaryius Thomas to the Eagles?
Yeah, I guess we'd go with. I'd send Fitz there if I could, but.
I mean, if I had my choice, I would send Fitz there. However, Fitz is in Arizona. He's a staple there. I can't see him playing somewhere else right now. I can't do it. I can't.
Mike Pitzenberg says, "Hey BML, continue the good work." I'm assuming he's referring to my mustache story. So thank you, Mike. I will continue with the good work.
I'm sorry, Brandon.
Okay. I'll cry tonight. Pick 2, PPR.
That joke works a lot better when I say it to my wife. She's like, yeah, you're funny.
Yeah.
You're like, now I got to go lie on the couch for an hour with my therapist.
I really do.
Sort out a whole mess of issues here.
Right. Pick 2, Mark Ingram, Kenyon Drake, Michael Crabtree, Alex Collins, Kenyon Barner.
Oh my God. All right, stop. Just start over again because I didn't have my pen.
Barner.
Yep.
Collins.
Yep.
Crabtree.
Yep.
Drake.
Mark
Ingram. Pick
Ingram.
2.
Pick
PPR.
2. I think I'd go Crab and Ingram here. I mean, it's not a great outing for Ingram, but I don't love Collins' match. I like Crab the most out of all of these guys. I think he'll see the targets.
Yeah. So I actually have a short little thing here. I noticed that one of my coworkers, Bailey, is on here. Hi, Bailey. But I actually commish our league for the real estate company that I work for. And there was a trade that went down and someone emailed me about it. It was like, hey, commish, what do you think about this trade? And I want to ask you. So one person gave up the Baltimore Ravens defense and Emmanuel Sanders, and the other person gave up Carlos Hyde and Michael Crabtree. And this guy wants me to veto the trade.
Hyde and Crabtree in exchange for
Emmanuel Sanders and Baltimore defense.
No.
There's nothing to veto, right?
There's nothing to veto there. Nobody's
it's a weird
cheating.
trade, but there isn't like collusion. No one's cheating. Is Emmanuel Sanders better than Michael Crabtree and or Carlos Hyde? Probably, but they are giving a defense, and they're getting 2 skill players. Michael Crabtree, who actually has been pretty decent this year in PPR formats, and Carlos Hyde, who knows, he could be the guy. If Fournette never comes back and they decide to pick him over Yeldon. So I was like, no, I'm not going to. But anyway, they wanted to veto. So I just want to make sure that I wasn't crazy. But I was like, am I missing something? This isn't a terrible trade. So
it's really not that bad. I mean, especially if
right?
you look at if you look at Hyde possibly just in a timeshare and Crabtree with Joe Flacco throwing to him on a regular basis. Emmanuel Sanders is a great player. He's having a fantastic season. The defense is irrelevant here. It's a 2-for-1, and they're throwing back the defense just to kind of balance out so that, rosters match up, I guess.
Right. The problem is the person giving away Sanders and Ravens. I don't know if they've ever played fantasy, or they maybe have done it like once or twice, and the other person's kind of like a shark. But I was like, I'm actually surprised that he actually gave up that much. I would have just been like, I'll give you Hyde for Crabtree or for Sanders and see, what he did. But anyway, have both the Rams wide receivers, both the Rams. There's 3, baby. Who are you talking about, Henry? Who are you talking about? But anyway, Rams wide receivers plus Odell Beckham Jr. Does Traquan crack this lineup? Don't like playing 2 wide receivers from the same team. I also have Sammy Watkins. Listen, I don't know which wide receivers you're talking about with the Rams. I guess that would be my first thing. And then, no, I mean, I don't sit people because they're from the same team. What about you, Howard? Do I have a Howard? Am I lost? Howard. I am lost. Okay, well, anyway. So I'm going to keep going. Oh. Uh-oh. I think he's not talking. No, he's definitely frozen. But that's okay. I'll answer the question. Are we on pause? Oh, hi, Jonathan. Okay, great. Well, let's try to get Howard back.
I'll fill in for Howard while we work this out.
Okay. I can hear an echo though, but
okay, never mind.
Maybe it's a little better. Okay, cool. So I would just say this. I always go with the best players, period. And sometimes those best players on the same team. That is especially true if it's the Los Angeles Rams. You guys, they are scoring all the points. Everybody. Don't sit someone just because you're worried that they're going to cancel out someone else. There's enough love to go around for the Los Angeles Rams that I am starting every single one all the time, not even worrying about it. Next, what value do you think Austin Hooper has in return value in a PPR league? Okay, so I think Austin Hooper is someone that I would personally be excited to play. He is getting a ton of targets. He's someone who's going to be involved with the team. In terms of his trade value, I think it's still pretty low, unfortunately. So if you have another tight end that you really like that's on your team, you may want to trade them instead. I'm not quite sure. Now, of course, Hooper's on a bye right now, and so that's probably why you're asking this question, right? But listen, he's only once had less than 4 targets in a game, and he's a tight end. That's great. Now, last week wasn't his best because he only had 3 catches for 48 yards, and that's not obviously amazing. But before that, he had 9 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. He had a touchdown also in week 2. He had 9 catches in week 6, I believe, as well, or week 5, I'm sorry. So 5 and 6, he had 9 catches. So, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get a ton of great stuff for him. I think he's someone that you could pair, though, and get something amazing. So if you have another player that is maybe coming into their own, has a strong schedule, what have you. Also, I think it's important to frame trades. And by that I mean, and I'm going to talk about this from a general kind of like a high. Oh, look, I'm in like a funky zone now. I'm going to talk about this a little high level here. Here is the new, in my opinion, way to trade with someone. Text them the trade first. Don't just send it out without anything. If you know these people, text them. You can get it done quicker. In that text, say, hey, I want to trade you Austin Hooper. The guy's getting a ton of targets. I love him, but I have this other guy, so I don't need him, but I do need a whatever. Okay. And so if we do that kind of conversation, now someone's a little bit more open. My husband just did a trade today, based off of doing text messages, getting it done. He's like, great, send it. We're done. And it's over, right? My husband needed to drop TJ Yeldon. And instead, he got Russell Wilson in a trade, which, isn't like the greatest, but they only have 4 bench spots. And it's a little bit crazy. He has all running backs. He needs to do wide receivers, but he needed a quarterback for this week because Matt Ryan was on bye. There was no one left because if you can believe it, even with 4 roster spots, people had taken more than one. And so the point is that he was able to get this done instead of dropping him. It was great. Do it like that. But yeah, I just don't think Cooper has a ton of name brand right now. So unfortunately, that was an epic freeze pose. Sorry, Cooks and Woods. Yeah, I play both Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods, and I don't care. Henry. That's just how I feel. Okay, need a wide receiver 2 and 1 flex and a full point PPR from the following. It's Jarvis Landry, Emmanuel Sanders, Philip Lindsay, Tyler Lockett, Mark Ingram, Corey Clement, starting Barkley, Hunt, and Thielen. Well, first of all, congratulations. This is a really cool team. Second of all, you need wide receiver 2 and 1 flex in a full point PPR. So I would go probably Landry and Sanders. But Philip Lindsay is speaking to. So, but I'm going to go with Landry and Sanders on that one. So we'll keep that going. Okay. Digging the clean shape. Yeah. Well, he's not here right now, but 1 point PPR, Taylor Gabriel or Randall Cobb for my flex. I know Cobb has that hammy injury. Yes. That's why I'd probably go Gabriel here. Ask again on Sunday though, because we want to make sure that we get you the right information. David Njoku or Vance McDonald. I'm going to go David Njoku on this one. I just like his crazy amount of targets. So is that he's questionable right now. So again, we're going to need to check back in on Sunday. He was limited at Thursday's practice, but he was practicing. So that's just fine. I think they're just managing his reps. I'm not worried about it. The guy has only had less than 6 targets one time this entire season. That's pretty crazy. Touchdowns in back-to-back games. I just think that he is a fantastic asset to any fantasy team. Is he going to get over 100 receiving yards in a game? Probably not. It's very short distance, mostly in the red zone, but that's fine. He doesn't need to. Not as a tight end. I just like that look. In terms of what's going on with McDonald, I feel like whenever we're really big on McDonald, he disappoints us. Is it just me? Is it just me? Now, of course, last week he caught 7 passes, so that looks really good. But then remember the week before that, everyone was starting him and he had 1 catch for 6 yards? So I'm going to stick with Njoku just because I like the volume. It's just a higher floor. And to me right now, it's what I'm looking for. All right. All the Breeze. Agreed. All the Breeze. I especially don't care that he's playing the Vikings. Drop Marvin Jones for McGuire. It depends. Are you hyper desperate at running back? I guess, but I think you can still get value from Marvin Jones. So I would actually see who you can get from Marvin Jones in a trade rather than to drop him from McGuire. Hogan, Allison, or Amendola, which by the way, I say do that all the time. If you have a player that has some, that you were higher on going into the season, or other people were higher on going into the season, there's some sort of name recognition there. I always try to shop them with at least 2 people before I just straight up drop them. Okay. Marvin Jones is one of those people. We were pretty excited about him coming into the season. He's one of the top guys. So you should be able to get some sort of value for him. Now, if you can't get anyone in a trade that's up to the McGuire standard, which I think you probably can, then you do drop him, right? Because those are your choices. But I will say that I would shop Marvin Jones. He's not someone that you just kind of toss back in my opinion. Kind of like my husband did with TJ. I'm sorry, what? Oh, okay. No problem. Life happens. All right. Hogan, Allison, or Amendola, non-PPR. Listen, if you think that Hogan's going to have that revenge game narrative, then you go Hogan. Absolutely. I like Amendola this week. I don't know about Allison yet this week. So to me, it goes probably Hogan, Amendola, and Allison. Yeah. That's probably where I would put them. No Beard. Yep. Well, we're missing him, right? Okay. Watson or Stafford? I would go with Watson. to be honest with you. I think they're going to need to use Watson's skills to be able to win this football game again, because I think the Miami defense is someone that, is rather formidable, to be entirely frank. And so that's why I'm going to go with Watson here. But, listen, I like Matthew Stafford, in terms of his high floor. His floor is usually around like 16, 17 points, but his ceiling just isn't the same. Right. So to me, I think Deshaun Watson, even though he's had 2 back-to-back bad games, before that it was 25 to 35 points 4 games in a row. So I think he kind of gets back to that in prime time. All right. Standard League, Marquise Goodwin or Christian Kirk? Right now, I'm going to say Goodwin. I'm going to ask you to ask us again on Sunday. I don't feel great about either of them. I wish I could. Marquise Goodwin's one of my favorite players. I feel like we saw a great week. We saw a meh week, and I don't know which week we're going to see this one. I need to have a little bit more in terms of what's going on with the team, and then I'll feel a little more confident about the decision. I wish I could say Goodwin with like confidence because I just think he's an incredible athlete to watch, frankly, when he is on. But yeah. Brocktober or leave the spot empty. I always say to fill the spot. It's incredibly rare that a quarterback's going to get negative points. I don't think Brocktober is going to do that this week. I just don't. Listen, leaving it completely empty means he has to get negative points for it to be negative for you. But Brocktober, yeah, it is what it is. Drake tonight or Ingram, half-point PPR. I know that a lot of Miami people feel really good about Drake tonight that cover the Miami Dolphins. I don't feel fantastic about it. I'd probably go with Mark Ingram here, but I would not be surprised if it was Drake. I'm just saying that it's very difficult having Brock Osweiler under center and then to feel like things are going to improve suddenly, and that, Drake's going to be A-okay. It's just a little bit weird. No, Howard. I know. I'm sorry. Do you think that Marlon Mack will play? Can start Kenyon Drake, Standard League? I think you have to start Drake instead of Mack since he did not practice today. Which stinks because I love Marlon Mack and I was really excited for him to be a steady fantasy option, and now he's not playing. So that's the problem with these Thursday night games. If Drake is your only other option, you have to go with him because we don't know if Marlon Mack's going to play. If you have other options, then I would wait, right? Because Marlon Mack has had double-digit carries in every single game that he's played so far this season. It's only been 3, but every single time that's just in the carries. It's not even counting any catches whatsoever. Kenyon Drake, it's been really spotty, as you know. It's been really good. It's been really meh. PPR, Kittle or Ebron? I would go with Kittle. I would go with the volume there. Ebron probably has some touchdowns, but you said PPR, not non-PPR. So I'm going to go with Kittle. Full point PPR flex. I don't know what that's referring to. 1 point PPR, Jordy, Fitz, or Moncrief. Okay, so this is really interesting. I'm actually kind of high on both Jordy and Moncrief this week. I might lean Jordy, to be honest with you, after the Amari Cooper trade in a full point PPR, which you are discussing right now. Just because I think they're going to have to use them for volume. But I think Moncrief in non-PPR settings or even half-point PPR settings, they have to get the ball into the wide receiver's hands. They just must. That is the best matchup for the Jags this week, even though we're in a Blake Bortles nightmare. But see, that Blake Bortles nightmare is why I'm pausing, right? That's why I'm holding back a little bit on the Moncrief. Larry Fitzgerald and the Rosen kid and everybody else, they kind of make me nervous still. I hope that they can come back. I think it's cool that their new offensive coordinator has decided that they want to get both Fitzgerald and David Johnson involved, as they should. I don't understand how that wasn't the concept from the get-go, but the point is that it still makes me a little bit nervous because I'm not quite sure they have the personnel to get it done. Start 2 in a standard non-PPR league. We got Fuller, Golladay, Crowell, and Howard. Whoa! I'm going to go. Fuller's starting to come back to me a little bit here, but I think if it's non-PPR, oh man. I guess you go Crowell and Golladay, I think. I think Golladay is going to score a touchdown, and I think Crowell maybe. I don't know, man. This one is really hard, and I don't like him against Chicago. So maybe, okay, I need to hear a little bit more about Jordan Howard, I guess. No, you know what? Swing for the fences. Look at me. I don't have Howard here to bounce off of, so now I'm just like confusing myself. I say swing for the fences and go Fuller and Galladay. I actually think they both have higher upside. I think the problem with Crowell is that he has a tough matchup this week going up against the Bears. And then the problem with Howard is that he just may not touch the ball at all. Or he could, and he could get 2 touchdowns. We're not quite sure. But the point is that the floor is so low now for Howard that I can't suggest him. Whereas I think that Fuller and Galladay, unless we hear that Fuller is like sprained a hamstring on the practice field as we're like warming up, then I think I would stick with him. Breeze or Winston? I'm sticking with Breeze. I do like Winston this week. I just think that Breeze is an elite talent, and the Vikings have allowed people to do crazy things all season. I'm not sure if I got answered working, but 2 running back, 1 flex, PPR, Ingram, Chubb, Drake, Amendola, Sutton. That did not get answered. So thank you for asking again. And I don't see it anywhere. I'm going to go with full point PPR. I might still go Ingram, Chubb, and Drake. Yeah. The only one that I might flex in there is Amendola. I'm not doing Cortland Sutton this week, even though obviously they're playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to need to use all the wide receivers they possibly can to keep up. But I still think that in terms of PPR and total volume, I like all those other players better. Half point PPR for Stafford or Mayfield. Well, it doesn't matter because they're not going to get a reception. So I'm going to go with Stafford here. Mayfield, I was so excited for him because I thought he was going to have a lot higher of a floor based off of what we saw in college. But he really doesn't, and he doesn't have much of a ceiling either. His floor is like 14 points. His ceiling is like 21. I think that remains consistent this week as he is on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And even though the Pittsburgh Steelers do not have a scary defense, neither did Tampa Bay. So, yeah, not feeling it. Not feeling it. Superflex, Luck is my other quarterback. Oh, I think you're talking about the half point Stafford or Mayfield. Yeah. Forgot Shepard in the above mix. I don't know what that is too. Full point PPR, flex, need 1. Fuller, Jordan Howard, or Burton. If it's full point PPR, I'd probably go Fuller, but Burton is speaking to me. Again, Jordan Howard, I need to have a guarantee that he's going to get touches, and I'm having a difficult time imagining a world where that's the case. It's a little too dicey for me, and I'm a big Jordan Howard fan, and I'm kind of disappointed, to be entirely honest with you. He is getting 12 to 14 or whatever touches, but if he's not getting any of the receptions and it's all just this short yardage rushing, it's not good enough. He had to score a touchdown to be relevant, and I don't like that. This week versus the Jets, I think there's a possibility he can get in there to score a touchdown, but man, if he doesn't, it's going to be really scary. Need 1 half point PPR: Breida, Tre'Quan Smith, Devin Funchess, or Chris Thompson. I would go Devin Funchess out of this list because Breida may not play. Tre'Quan Smith is in a very crowded offense, and Chris Thompson, I'm not going to trust that he's going to be 100%. So that's why I'm going there. AZFan84 says Howard shaves his beard off and look what happens. I mean, seriously, here I am alone. What happened? Come back, Howard. Come back. Okay. Good call on Jordy. Thank you. Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson. I'm going Watson again. And you guys keep telling me it's a PPR league. Again, if they're not catching a reception, it doesn't matter. I'm nice. Howard is not nice. So we don't need to do PPR. Ingram or Chubb, non-PPR. I'm going back and forth on this because what I saw from Chubb was not impressive. So what does that mean? I think I'm going to stick with Chubb just because it looks like he's the guy. Certainly Duke Johnson was a complete failure, and Howard was writing me in the pre-show about that, and he was right. I mean, Duke Johnson was just a complete and utter failure. He is like the Aaron Jones of the Browns, where it's like it should happen. All signs point to it happening, and it just doesn't happen. So here we are again. So I think I'm going to go Chubb here just because I think this might be a big-time Alvin Kamara game against the Minnesota Vikings in prime time. But Again, I like both of these players, and especially in non-PPR. Crow versus the Bears, puking. Yeah, exactly. It's like you just can't suggest that. No other way to put that. Breeze or Goff? I'm gonna go Breeze here. Goff is very intriguing to me. Again, Breeze in prime time against the Vikings have allowed a lot of points, frankly. I think I'm going to go with Breeze here. Wilson or Wentz? I'm going to go Wilson. I actually think Wilson will do a lot better than people think. And if you play DFS, Russell Wilson is a bargain right now. He's outside of the top 10, I believe, on FanDuel and just inside on DraftKings, which is interesting because he's never had over a 300-yard game, but he has had back-to-back games with 3 touchdowns in each of them prior to the bye. So I actually think they're going to come out of the bye fresh. Baldwin's getting better. Tyler Lockett's been great all season. They have a running game. I think they're kind of I don't want to say firing on all cylinders, but certainly firing on more cylinders. So I am intrigued with him this week. So I'm going to go with Wilson, which I think is probably controversial. I just don't know if Wentz needs to be a baller this week when he goes up against the Jags. And the Jags, as we know, usually have a tough defense, although over the last couple of weeks have been a disaster. But part of that is because their offense has been a disaster. If that happens again, I think this could be a big running game for the Eagles. And I think, listen, Ed, almost no other team preps game specific in the way that the Eagles do. And I think that for this game, they're going to try to keep it, conservative, metered, let their defense beat their offense and just get the win. That's what I'm thinking there. Devonta Foreman or Rashad Penny, Deontay Foreman, sorry, or Rashad Penny. I'm not. That's a sad question. What's happening? Got to find something else. You're the best. Thanks as always. You're welcome. Jordan Howard's so frustrating. Agreed. I mean, if the guy's getting 12 carries and still only getting like 6 fantasy points, I just have a hard time suggesting him to you guys. So whatever. Chubb, Crowell, or Collins sit 1. I think it's got to be Crow again. I don't like the Collins matchup either, but I don't like Crowell in this matchup against the Bears. Ebron or Jared Cook? Not enough people are talking about Jared Cook getting maybe even more usage now that they sent Amari Cooper packing, which is insane. I didn't even think there was a possibility that Jared Cook could get more usage. There's just no way. This is a great matchup. For the last 2 games, Cook actually hasn't gotten the same kind of volume that he had before. He caught both of his targets last week, or not last week, it was in week 6 because they had a bye. But it was only for 10 yards, and that was just not good. And then the week before that, it was only 4 catches. It was for 20 yards. But before that, he was killing it. Yeah, I think this is a really good matchup against the Colts. They give the 8th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends, which is good. And they've allowed the 3rd most catches to tight ends, which is great because, again, he is Mr. Catches for tight ends. So I think I'm going to go Jared Cook here just because there's a 2 tight end set thing going on with Ebron, although I'm still playing him if I can. Marlon Mack or Miller tonight? I think you have to go Miller. I think this Marlon Mack news is not good. I'm hoping that he plays, and my apologies if he does, and Miller stinks, but I just think that I like to be conservative. If it has to be the Thursday night guy, I have to play the Thursday night guy. That's just how I play fantasy football. If a team runs a Philly special, PPR will matter. That's true, man. That's true. Philly special does get that PPR point for the quarterback. Absolutely. Thanks for the help as usual. Mustache, cash, stash. That's right. Mustache is here to help everybody. Howard without his beard looks like Landry Jones. No, Landry Jones will never get out of this live feed. We will always bring him up somehow. Oh yeah, to stash Foreman or Penny. I would stash Foreman over Penny. That's how I feel. I think the Seattle Seahawks have proven to us that they do not want anything to do with Rashad Penny for some reason, even though that he was their 1st round pick. I don't know why. I know he's supposedly not in shape, but how out of shape does this guy have to be? Anyway, Chris Carson or Jalen Richard is the flex, half-point PPR. Thank you kindly. You're welcome. And I would go with Jalen Richard, I think. Ask us again on Sunday. And the good news is that we're going to have time, because these aren't the London game or what have you. I think that's what I'm going to go here is Jalen Richard. Although... Chris Carson's not a terrible pick. I just am worried about Mike Davis, and I just think Jalen Richard's role is so solid. Yeah. And then Richard or Carson again, flex PPR. Listen, they're really kind of a coin flip for me, but I am going to go again with my guy Jalen Richard, who, by the way, had the top elusive rating according to Pro Football Focus 2 seasons ago, and then they didn't use him at all last year. So I think there are a lot of ways that he can be used, and he's able to create a lot of yardage on his own. He's a very good football player. I'm just sad that it took this long to get him involved. But yeah, he's actually been a really solid PPR play all season, so very intriguing. PPR pick 1, Chris Godwin, Marquise Goodwin, Barner, Traquan Smith for my flex. I would say Barner. I just think they're going to get ahead really fast, and they're just going to put Barner in there. They're going to say, we'll just run it out with Barner. That's how I feel about it. Maybe it doesn't happen that way. That's how I see it. Again, I wish I could tell you Goodwin because he's one of my favorites. Chris Godwin, just his volume is way too up and down for me. And Deshaun, in my opinion, Deshaun Jackson has proven that he should be the guy. Number 2, he's not making the same mistakes as Chris Godwin, which is a big problem. And then Traquan Smith, again, there's just a lot of other plays there. So for me, I'm going to go Barner. Is there any way to watch from the beginning once we stop? I think that's it, though. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a tech person here, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I got a real mess here. I need one, and it's PPR. Thompson, Aaron Jones, Hyde, or Doug Martin. I would probably go Doug Martin on this one, just because we know that he's going to get play. I don't know about Thompson's health. I would check in again about that. But again, you could check in on Sunday with that too. We always are here at 11 o'clock. Okay, so I want to talk really quick about our sponsors, though, because we are very excited for them. So we got Fantasy Factor, and you guys, we love them because they're single entry contests, no sharks, just fun. And you can sign up for a new account and you make your first deposit, and then Fantasy Factor will give you the rest of the NFL season of Fantasy Alarm for free, which is awesome. And they're going to give you the NBA Playbook Pro full season as well. That's a $400 value. And all you have to do is go play. It's really fun. So go to fantasyalarm.com/factorNFL. Again, that's fantasyalarm.com/factorNFL. Again, you're going to love it because you're going to get the NFL Playbook and the NBA Playbook for free. Again, fantasyalarm.com/factorNFL. And I want to talk about Fanball because it's a lot of fun. It's another daily NFL game. It's really fun. They've got the NBA cranking too, so that's a lot of fun. Also, our Playbook Pro, we are, all of our tools, you're able to optimize your Fanball lineup. So we accommodate this awesome platform. They will give you the Playbook for free for 2 months, and all you have to do is set up an account and deposit $10, and the Playbook Pro completely supports it again. So you can actually make money on Fanball while Fanball gives you money. So get it right now, and you can get 2 months for free. It is fantasyalarm.com/fanball. That is fantasyalarm.com/fanball. It's a lot of fun to play. Trust me, I do it all the time. Again, fantasyalarm.com/fanball. Okay, and going back here. New York Giants or New York Jets defense. Oh, man, you guys. Okay, so the Giants are playing against Washington. The Giants are at home, okay? The Jets, they are on the road, and they're playing the Bears. I don't really like either of these, but I think the Bears have been red hot, even though Mitchell Trubisky made a lot of mistakes last week. He still went over 300 yards again, still threw multiple touchdowns. I don't see that happening for Alex Smith. Part of it is because Alex Smith, the poor guy, doesn't have any weapons whatsoever. So I think I'm going to go with the Giants out of your 2 choices, but I don't love them. And I just want to point that out. So come back to us on Sunday too, so we can chat about that. Houston or Indy defense? Houston playing against Miami, and it's Brocktober, so people are a little nervous. And then the Indy defense are on the road against the Oakland Raiders, who have decided to just, trade away their players, just like the Giants. They're just gonna wave the white flag and say, we're done. So who do you pick? I think I would go with the Texans out of this one, because I think the Texans, I think on prime time they're gonna be fine. That's how I feel about that. I don't love the the Raiders offense by any means. And I think there's a real problem there, but it's not exactly like Amari Cooper was like, supporting the beams there. He had a lot of problems too. So I don't think it's going to be that detrimental. But I do think that there's a possibility of a Brock meltdown, and that could be 30 points, right? I don't think that there's going to be a 30-point possibility against Derek Carr. It's going to be super conservative, throwing a lot to Jared Cook, Jordy Nelson, little dump-offs to Jalen Richard. I don't think they're going to make as many mistakes as a possible Brock Osweiler. So that's why I would personally go with Houston. Drake or Shepard, PPR flex. I would go Shepard in a full point PPR league. I think they are going to need to use him. Full screen reminds me of her fantasy football days. Oh, I know. It's so sad. Forever remembered. Thank you. Washington better get that offense ready against the Giants. I'm sick and tired of the inconsistency on offense and defense. Nicholas, I agree with you. But again, I'm not going to blame Alex Smith outright. I know a lot of people think that he's the real problem here, but I don't. He doesn't have anyone there. Everyone's hurt. It's really unbelievable. So Watson or Mayfield at quarterback this week, I would go Watson. I just think he has a higher upside here, even though I do like the Miami defense, and I do not like the Steelers defense. But I just think that Baker Mayfield is a little bit hindered by, let's say, coaching. Are you thinking about watching live NFL here? I can help you. Oh, no. No, don't spam us. That's not nice. I'm not going to give that guy any more time. And all right, there you go, everybody. It is 8 o'clock. So thank you so much. I'm so sorry that Howard had to go away, but thank you for sticking with me. We appreciate it. I hope you are having a wonderful fantasy football season. We're going into the middle of the season right now. It's week 8. I'm going to blame Alex Smith. Jordan Reed is healthy. Pass to him, please. No, I agree with that. But if he's the only guy to pass to, how sad is it when Jordan Reed is your healthiest player? This is my point, man. This is my point. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying the season. Good luck, everybody. Have a wonderful week 8, and I will see you on Sunday, 11 a.m. Talk to you soon. Bye.